It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Alfawise V1 mechanical keyboard. Of course, to start things off with, I do have to say that this is not a paid review of the keyboard. However, GearBest were kind enough to send me this review sample to check out. Now, I have never actually heard of this brand before, Alfawise, and so when they said, hey, happy to send you one of these if you want to check it out, I said, why not? Why not? So always interested to see what other brands are out there and what kind of keyboards they've got to offer to our community. So of course, like I did before when I had a look at the Ajaz keyboard, let's just quickly have a look at the actual product listing so we have an idea of what we're hoping to expect versus the reality of what we actually get in the box. So let's just switch over to the monitor over this way, and so here it is. There's the Alfawise V1 mechanical keyboard, and for some reason they don't have like an international English version. So what you can see here is the German version in black, which is exactly what I received in the mail. So we're just going to go with that. You can see it's relatively cheap and affordable at current prices anyway. The flash sale price is saying just under $50 Australian, which I think is actually a really amazing price for a full-size mechanical keyboard, depending on its features and its qualities. Now, if we just zip down below, there's a typical sort of review video made by GearBest themselves, and we're looking at ABS plastic. It's in black. It's got a blue switch. Now, it doesn't mention what kind of blue switch, so it'll be interesting to see what the actual switch is. Very generic. We've got some RGB, usable in Windows. It's not wireless. It's USB 2, so not USB 3. Reckons it's got 50 million keystrokes. Okay. Anti-ghosting, so it should be a full NKRO. Doesn't have wireless, of course, because it's wide, and it's got a 1.6. Just under a kilo, so it's not too bad. It's not very heavy, but you can't really expect that considering it's going to be a plastic ABS case, and should come with a keyboard and a manual. So that's all that we're going to be expecting, a keyboard and a manual. A couple of different color modes. Animated GIF here showing what it is. Suspension type cap. That's a little bit weird way of describing things, I guess, but we'll be able to check that out. And I think they kind of put the keycap on wrong because we've got two down keys in this picture: up, down, down, and up. All right, maybe they need to retake that picture again. And supporting all keys conflict free, which is obviously trying to demonstrate the NKRO. So yeah, that's pretty much the listing. It's very, very simple, and of course I'll have a link below in the video if you want to check that listing out for yourself and what the current prices is if they've got a flash sale on, because you can see right now there's 18% off, so that's not too bad. Let's get rid of that and head on to our desktop. So I haven't opened this, and truly I haven't opened this because you know how I like to surprise myself and have my reaction available for everyone to see. So there's the box that it came with. It's look at that, hasn't even been bent. So a very plain looking box. It just says Alfawise on the outside. The logo, it's a generic sort of PCB logo there. There's not much really distinguishing marks except for one sticker on the side here. So it says it's a black German version made in China. Now it doesn't even say that it's the V1, so I don't know if there's actually a V2 or a V3 or other models that Alfawise offers, and that's it. So there's nothing else. There's nothing else on either ends of it, and there's nothing on the underside as we've seen. So let's crack it open. Now I'm kind of half expecting there's going to be another box inside, only because it's quite a normal way for them to package it, so the presentation box isn't damaged. At least the quality of this box is pretty good. They'd actually packed this inside another box, which is why it's in a pristine condition. So it's been triple box if there's another box inside. Oh, no. there is not another box inside, so we can see the that foam sort of slip sleeve. That's very typical. Let's get that open. Rightio. Cardboard's nice and stiff, which is always nice. So we have a bit of packing on the sides, prevent the ends from getting damaged. It's got that typical very thin foam sleeve. We've got a bit of a cable here, and there's a standard gamer sort of stylized USB plug there. It's cable tied, and I suppose there should be a manual down here, which there it is. So before we sort of get too much further, let's just check out that manual. Quick start guide. So we got some English backlit mechanical gaming keyboard. Package contents, keyboard, quick start guide. Alright, so there's the English manual right there. We got some functions for backlighting, turning it on, lamp color, recording it macro wise, I suppose, game mode, some cycles, so we'll be able to check that out. And then of course it's just in a couple of different language, and then there's like a quick reference for the well, not really macro, but additional functions, you know, search key, calculating media players, volume, that kind of stuff. And it's good to note down here, it also shows you brightness and breathing rates. On the back, it's just in a couple of different languages, and of course it says you can plug it in via USB to your laptop or your PC. So it's pretty simple, nothing too challenging, and I suppose at least because it is a English speaking version, being the German. Right, let's take it out now. Oop, losing a bit of foam. So it does feel quite light for a full-size keyboard. Now what I compare this to is three keyboards that I have that are full-size that I do sort of play with on a regular basis. My Philco Magistouch 2, my Ducky Legend at work, and recently I've been playing around trying to hand wire my Philco Magistouch 1. So in terms of the actual physical holding weight, now the website says it's 0.8 of a kilo, 800 grams. It does actually feel relatively light because the other keyboards are a little bit heavier than that. Okay, let's have a look. There it is. Well, I can say it definitely has a gaming feel to it. The font here that we can see, that's 100% gaming font. I find it interesting that they've kind of gone with really high sitting feeling keycaps, in that if I lift it, you'll see this is what they're talking about, that floating keycap style. When I suppose if I compare it to my Philco, you can see that the actual case sits up, and so it doesn't have that floating style feel. The top plate on the Philco here actually covers the switch sufficiently so you don't see the actual switches, but they've chosen to go with sort of a plate level design, so it does have that, and I think that's mostly so that they can get the backlighting, the RGB to really expand out and be visible. Now they've actually got exposed screws here along the top. I think maybe that's kind of like a way of giving it a bit of an industrial, I don't know, kind of feel to it, because it has that sort of hard edges and you know, lines to that bevel. The thing about these screws though is they kind of look like hex screws. They're definitely not your sort of standard Phillips or negatives, but they're actually star screws. They look like they're torx screws. So it isn't designed for you to get in there and play around with yourself. I don't actually have any star keys, hex keys myself, so I won't be able to crack this open at any point in time anytime soon. But what makes this interesting is they've actually got normal Phillips head plus screws on the bottom. So consistency in terms of the keys that they're using, sorry, the screws that they're using, I don't know if that's an issue. And there's possibly another screw that's hidden here because you can see that bubble there as well. Now I don't have any intent right now to crack this open, so it's not really an issue. I am curious on why they've got these sort of slot points. It might just be because of the fact that it's the way that they've got the pieces locked in internally for this, what appears to be, I can't tell if it's a separate, it's not a separate piece. It just looks like it's molded as a separate piece, I think. Doesn't seem to flex or move. So, got some fold out feet, very big fold out feet, so that's always nice. I do like working with a bit of an angle on my keyboard, so let's just flip that out. And overall, it's not bad in terms of presentation. Let's give it the flex test. So, oh, it's got heaps and heaps of twist available, so I can rock that, and it's definitely got a bit of wobble once I flex it. If I twist it the other way, yeah, I can definitely get a bit of wobble on that. So be aware of, if you don't like keyboards that you can easily twist, then yeah. But that said, it's ABS plastic, you can kind of expect that. But what that does tell me though is there is no internal steel plate. The weight itself tells me that, but it just means if you're somebody that does hammer a lot, and you can kind of see that on the screen right now, if I do press on it quite firmly, the keyboard is actually flexing. If you don't like that response, then you might want to give this one a little bit of a think over. Now, keycaps. They're very cubic, is probably the way I would describe them straight away, simply because they're just straight and almost straight down. There's not a lot of angling and curvature on them. They have a little bit of a rough texture on it. They look like they're laser etched with see-through, but because it's a German keyboard, it's killing me right now, because QWERTY is not QWERTY, but it's QWERTY. And then you've got things with like whatever those dot things are, umvat. So, and then you've got short shifts, and I guess that's German for control, maybe. Well, I've never had a German keyboard before. I only kind of just starting to realize that when they say the German version, it literally is a German version, which is pretty cool. Now, of course, everyone's curious to know about what kind of switches these blue clickies are. So let's just pop off one of these blue switches and check it out. So there it is. It's a blue switch, and it definitely clicks, but it's a matter of what is this blue clicky switch. So I'm just going to lift it up into the light to see if I can read what brand it is. And it's a JWH. A JWH. I don't know what a JWH switch is. Now, I don't know if the camera's going to be able to pick that up or not. Oh, there we go. But the lighting is not really... Oh no, you can see it just there on the crystal plastic, if I can hold it straight enough. No, I'm not holding it steady enough for the plastic to show it clearly again, but you're going to have to take my word. It's a JWH switch. Now, in terms of its raw feel, it actuates really high up, but it's a very dull click. It does have a good amount of echo, but I suspect that's because all the plastic around it is helping that sound. I'm just going to drop the microphone so we can hear that switch a little bit closer. It does have a really interesting sound to it, because it's got like a two-stage click and clunk. It's like a reset kind of sound with the actual internal click jacket, if it is a click jacket. But I don't think I'm going to be able to open it because it's not switch openable in the actual plate. So, keycap time. Now, of course, this is only one single keycap, but it'll probably be quite indicative. It's our typical sort of see-through, shine-through ABS with a black coating. So there's the sort of translucent white stuff on the inside, and then the outside's got the black coat, and then they've just gone and either laser etched it off, or it's just masked with that available through it. In terms of the flex of that, it's it's firm, but it's not too soft, but at the same time, I can bend that really easily with my fingers. So the thickness and the strength of the plastic isn't huge. Of course, if we get just a typical ruler and I have a look at that, yeah, you're looking at, you know, they're actually quite thin, probably just under a mil, maybe like 0.8 of a mil thick. Not terribly thick, but yet not the thinnest out there, I would say. Pretty standard for an OEM keycap. Now the profile for that row, the up key, you can see it does have a bit of an angle to it for its actual profile position, but like I said, it's very sort of cubic. Typical OEM, I guess. Put that back on. So now that's the layout. Now I'm not familiar with the German layout, so I don't know if this is an actual standard layout. Bottom row looks pretty standard, I guess. You know, your 125s, your spacebar and 125s. It is ISO on this side, so you do get the extra key, and then you get the weird shift that we talked about before. But the rest of the keyboard seems to be pretty normal in terms of its layout and function. Okay, we're already 16 minutes in, so it's time to actually get this thing plugged in and checked out. Let's go. Now my computer's, there we go, has detected it is good to go. So that light is very bright, and I fear that might be that might saturate the camera colors. So let's just cover that temporarily with a little box. And it's nice that the logo lights up as well. The light seems to be quite even. You can see the glow, and it's on just a color cycling, a very slow color cycling for the logo, and it's going to white right now. Not sure if it's going to change colors by itself. No, it looks like it's just plain white, unless if it's very, very slow. So let's just do some testing. Right, so let's have a look. Function and print screen is to turn off the lights. So that's going to be my print screen, of course, and it's off. Okay, so function print screen turns it off, but it won't turn it back on. Function insert turns on RGB mode. Interesting. Function scroll. There we go. So function scroll is 7 colors and breath. So if I keep changing that, will it do anything? No. So it's just breathing mode. Function delete. Let's see if, so that turns it off. Doesn't turn it back on, which is really interesting. Function insert again. Right, so now we're back into our backlight mode, and I should be able to color cycle. So if I go function delete, yeah, so it'll change cycles with the colored mode right there. I'm not going to use the record or storage key, because last time I did that with the AJAS, I munted it because I didn't have an actual manual in English. Function 1 game mode. So let's try that. Function 1. Okay, so we've got our WASD coming up with escape. It's interesting that they've gone with the escape. Function 2 game mode 2. Right, so we're highlighting sort of your typical left hand, and not sure why these 4 over here are lit up. Function 3 is Call of Duty. Okay, so we've got our weapons slots, and then a typical sort of WASD with a couple of additional, you know, reload, grenade, interact kind of keys. Function 4 is League of Legends. Okay, so there is our abilities, and then our extras, so items or flashing. And then function 5 is QQ race. Now I've never heard of QQ race before, and it looks like the only keys you need for QQ race are down here in the corner, WASD with R and arrow keys. So it's nice that they've actually got some pre-programmed game modes. So, and that's what I'm talking about right there, where you can see function 1, first person shooter, function 2, CF, whatever that is, Call of Duty, League of Legends, and QQ. Now, of course, on the back, we should have reset function. I'm not sure what that's resetting, but I've got brightness, breathing rate, and sort of other general functions. So that's, dare I try reset, and I hope it doesn't reset my machine. So function escape. Oh, okay, so it just resets the lighting, which is great. So it's constant, turns it back on. Now if I function print screen to turn that off, function escape. Hey, that's really cool. So now, of course, if I cycle through the colors, look at that. Oh, you know what? I actually like this. This is really cool. I think I'm having a far better experience using this RGB backlit than I did with the Ajax. Now, if I rack up the brightness, rack down the brightness, you can kind of see it's... So the brightness goes all the way down, but it won't turn off by the looks of it. But if I go up, you can kind of see the stepwise that it's pulsing through, which is nice. Gentle steps. And then breathing rate. So let's go to the breathing rate. There's the breathing, 7 colors breathing. And left and right is going to be my breathing rate. So that seems to be slowing it down. And then let's rack it up to the fastest breathing rate possible. Right, so all of that works. All of that works, which is pretty cool. So I'm just going to leave that on the breathing rate, and oh, that's really bright. There's caps lock and scroll lock. Rollin' scroll lock. So if you want to get blinded by those, because that is actually ridiculously bright. I don't know if I would ever be able to use that with that on without either covering it or taping it to sort of dull that a little bit. Now, it talks about having anti-ghosting 108 keys. So let's test out that 108 keys anti-ghosting. We're going to switch over again to the right monitor. We're on the Microsoft that way. Applied Sciences Group's ghosting, and let's check it out. Ooh. There we go. Right, so it seems to be with 10 fingers down, we're doing pretty well. Now if I hand mash, oh, oops, I think I hit the Windows key and blew away that, somehow got rid of that window. Let's try that again, shall we? There we go. You know what? I'm not gonna bother. You did see that it worked pretty well for most of the keys that you would expect for anti-ghosting. Did not mean to do that. My apologies. But I think it's actually met my expectations from what the description said, and it is quite pretty. Now, of course, because I've got the room lights on, you can't really see it very well in terms of its backlit. It's RGB, so I'm actually going to turn the room light off. Whoop. And there we go. And so we'll just cycle through some of those colors again very quickly, I guess. So we're going to go to that. So now we're in striped pattern mode. All red. It's of course breathing. All green. Blue. It's a pretty pale yellow. Purple. It's like a teal color. And that's the white. And then of course there's our what they call the 7 color mode. So if I reset it, there we go. And then what I was talking about with brightness, the brightness goes all the way down. It's not a lot of steps of brightness. It looks like it's only 3 or 4 levels of brightness, but it does make a difference. If I was to use this for some reason at night, I'd probably have it on the lowest brightness because that's really all I need, especially because my monitors, you can see how much front light the monitor is actually throwing at the moment. Rightio. So I guess it's time to make some concluding remarks about this keyboard. Actually, I should probably just do a bit of typing as well. So let me open Notepad so that we can hear what it actually sounds like with a bit of key bashing. Let's get that microphone down and low, and let's do some typical key bashing. This is going to be weird because of the fact that the shift is a tiny left shift, and I shift with my little left pinky. So it does actually have, it's got a not too bad sound. It is a very hollow thock to it, I would say. I do like a bit more of a deeper sound personally, but you know, as far as blue clickies go, if you're going to be playing games with this and you're going to have an active mic on, then your friends, your stream are definitely going to hear it. I like clicky switches, so I actually quite like it, and if it wasn't for the fact that I would have to destroy or damage this keyboard, I would actually probably get one of these JWH switches and put them into my switch tester, but I don't think that's an option for me right now. Actually, I am curious to know what stabilizers it uses. It looks like it's a Cherry clone, because I can see maybe... Oh. Yeah, it's a plate mount Cherry clone. Spacebar doesn't want to play, so let's just hold that up, and you can see it's got the Cherry clone on the stabilizers there. So it's definitely not going to be using co-stars. Maybe it's easier to use the zero key. Man, my camera is getting so saturated with that light, it doesn't even want to refocus. Come on. Oh well. Oh, I'll get that sorted in a moment. They're very, very tight. And there you go. So, well, you can't see it because it's not refocusing. Come on. You can do it. There we go. You can do it. Right, there we go. And as I said, it's got some Cherry clone stabilizers on it. I wouldn't say that they're terribly mushy, but the actual mount on the plate is a bit wobbly. So, but you can't expect very much. It's a $50 keyboard. It's $50 Australian. So in terms of US dollars, it's even cheaper than $50. But I think that might be because it's got that 18% discount on it at the moment. So, cheap keyboard, plastic case, flexes a bit, cubic keycaps, has underglow RGB, has shine through keycaps, hollow sounding switches. It's an off-brand JWH, not exactly a major brand in the switch scene. It is non-switch top removable. They are MX compatible. This German version is ISO with German keycaps on it, but otherwise seems to be functioning perfectly fine. It is lightweight. It does have pre-programmed, and it does have a recording mode, which I'm not going to play around with, even though I do have confidence that I should be able to use function escape to reset it, as you can see I've just done. But I actually think it's really good value. It doesn't look too bad, though. If you did take this to an office, it is going to be obvious that it's a gaming keyboard for sure. This front bit here doesn't really serve any purpose, because when I type on it, I don't even touch it. So it's completely a cosmetic thing. It's just a bit of brand showing off there. So in terms of footprint, though, you do need to be aware that it's going to be there. Not that most people's desks are going to be so tiny if you're using a full size that you can't afford to have that as part of your desk space. I think if you swapped out the keycaps for it for something nicer, it would definitely improve its looks, and of course it might change its sound as well. So that's it. I think we're going to call it a wrap there. Thank you, of course, once again to GearBest for sending me this to give it my opinions and my thoughts. And I will, of course, have a link below in the description in the video if you want to check it out for yourself. And if you're looking for one, interested in buying it at a bargain price. So thank you for checking out this video. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want somebody else to check out the video in case they're looking for an affordable mechanical keyboard with these kind of features and this kind of look and style, hit share. And if you're new, you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do, because we're always bringing out more stuff about mechanical keyboards, building mechanical keyboards, customs, artisans, giveaways, and all that kind of stuff. So of course, as I like to end my videos with, until next time, happy clacking.